Hello and welcome to Fun Hub Radio. I'm your host, Lindsay, and we are super excited to be here with another episode. And for this episode, we are going to be talking with South Kearns Elementary in Kearns, Utah. And today we have a very special guest, Danielle, here from South Kearns, and she's going to tell us all about South Kearns, how they're unique, and how they use Get Movin' to help their fundraiser. So welcome, Danielle. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure to join you. I'm really
Awesome.
excited to share everything that we've done.
That's so exciting. Great. Okay, awesome. So first, let's start off and tell us a little bit about South Kearns, what makes South Kearns unique, and kind of your role within South Kearns as well.
So South Kearns is a really special township inside of Salt Lake City,
Okay.
and we're a Title I school, and we consist of about 400 students. We fluctuate between 350 and 450. Because they're always changing our boundaries. We're a growing community. We have apartments going in. We actually received a new school as well during this whole last few years. So it's been interesting seeing numbers come and go and what's that going to do to our fundraiser. And when I mentioned it was a Title I school, what this means is the majority of our students receive free or reduced lunches, which means it's a low income school. So there were not many high expectations for what we could do with fundraising.
Yes, I can imagine the challenges that come with that, but also just like any other school, and even sometimes more at those Title I schools, it's important to have fundraising and important to, get those funds in any way you can. So what is your specific role within South Kearns Elementary? And I assume you help with the fundraiser here. That's why you're here today. So
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and how you work with Get Movin'.
So I first came over to the school just as a typical parent. My kids transferred into the school, and at the previous one, I was involved in PTA, and so I wanted to get involved at this one. And so right away I signed up, had no major role, but our PTA president kind of just up and left. And we all needed to pitch in and find something to do. And I had been one of the PTA members that went to the convention where we ran into Fun Hub, met Maria, and it just seems like a great option. Low fees, and we get to keep the majority of the donations and pledges. And so that's kind of where we got started into it. And so I've been doing the fundraising. I'm the fundraising commissioner. I've been doing that we've done it 4 years now. So this will be our 5th year going into it.
Okay, great. So when you became the PTA president left and you became more integral into the parent group, were you guys already doing like a event style fun run, walkathon type fundraiser, or before that were you guys doing something else?
They've always done chocolates. The current principal at the time likes to keep things routine. And if it works, it works, and don't expect much. Don't do changes. It's one of those styles. And so always doing chocolates. And I asked them, hey, what's our highest fundraising we've done in the past? And they said we net $1,300 last year. That was the best we've ever done. And my heart broke hearing that number, because of all the things that happened throughout the year and what we could do and provide for the kids with just $1,300 was kind of painful to me. Yeah. So that's where, we need to try to do something different. And that's what I was looking for at the convention. They told me, hey, you're in charge of fundraising when we go, so keep your eyes open. And that's how I geared, look at all the different companies and let's compare. And Fun Hub had the best options when it comes to, I guess, multi-source collections. You can send it through Facebook, you can so much social media access, and then you have the websites the teachers can include in the classroom. It just is there's so many details, well thought out, and that's the type of company that I thought would be a good partnership.
Oh, we really appreciate that. That's so sweet. I'm really glad that it's worked for you guys, because I know that chocolates is, it's easy, like you said, routine, but at the same time, anytime you're dealing with a product fundraiser, you're always going to have that overhead. You're always going to have the cost of the
Mhm.
goods. And that can like extremely reduce the amount of money you get to keep. And that's, I think, something that we've kind of always kind of set our eyes on is like the point of an event-based fundraiser is so you don't have that overhead, or your overhead is as low as possible. So yeah,
Exactly.
I really appreciate you mentioning that because I think that'll be interesting for some of our listeners and viewers to hear.
Yeah.
Um, so I think you kind of mentioned how, like, the challenges that you had in your previous fundraising was that, kind of people were stuck in their ways and they didn't want change. How were you able to like overcome that?
Lots of crying and hugs. It was really rough because I thought I had a well prepared, planned fundraiser, went to that final meeting before we launched. I mean, I'm talking maybe 2 weeks
Hmm.
beforehand because this was all just last minute. We have nothing to do, go do it. And sitting down with everyone, all of the negative feedback I was receiving from just a few people, and then everybody else fell in line with that person. It was just, you're going to fail, this is not going to work, our kids can't raise money, our kids can't do that. I just kept hearing roadblock after roadblock, and I just don't believe in that. I believe in overcoming things and breaking barriers. And why are we subjecting ourselves to limitations?
Yeah.
And that's, I thought, you know what, let's just do it. I still want to do this dance-a-thon, let's get it going. But as a compromise, because one of their concerns were kids with sensory issues, it's going to be too loud, people
Mm.
could maybe have seizures with all the glow, the flashing lights. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll have a dance-a-thon slash readathon. We'll give
Okay.
options. So kids don't want to get in the loud noisy. They don't want to dance. We'll go in the library. They can read some books. And so
Okay.
that was kind of my compromise for that, their major concerns,
Hmm.
um, and just push forward and see what we can do.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. I want to talk about your event because that's really, really unique and unlike any other event that we've heard of before. But first, I just want to say that is really, really awesome that you like kind of stuck to your guns about that and you were just like, you know what? No, I don't believe in that. This is what we need to do because that's just a really special quality for somebody to have in a parent group. So I really applaud that. That's awesome. Um, so then when going into, let's talk about a little bit the fundraising event. I'm sorry, how long have you guys worked with Get Moving?
4 years.
So
So
I
20,
didn't know if you meant,
yeah.
I heard you say that earlier, but I didn't know if that was with us or just in general.
Mhm.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your fundraiser with Get Moving, then exactly how you guys kind of work that out. It sounds really cool how you provide options for the students based on their needs. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we have a lot of students that have can have sensory issues, and we want to make sure we accommodate everybody. We're a full inclusion school. We want anyone who can be involved to be involved, and so that's why we did, readathon slash danceathon. And partway through, they're like, "Hey, I want to try going into the danceathon." Then we brought them in. The rooms were so close to each other,
Hmm.
and it was just very interactive, and it was good to have everybody involved, and parents really liked the readathon options as well.
Yeah.
And one thing we did after that specific athon, at registration, we had parents and children vote, what type of fundraising athon do you want to see in the future?
Hmm.
And we got a good mixture. Everyone loved the dance-a-thon, but the next year we did a jump-a-thon. And so that did include everybody. And then we went right back to the dance-a-thon the next year. And last year, what we did was so different because we're sitting there at the PTA meeting, and we have a fifth grade teacher who was the school teacher representative, and we have the principal, and we're throwing ideas in, and there's so many different ideas.
Yeah.
And she said, you know what, the kids love hands-on science. And we had just been to a field trip to the STEM Expo,
Hmm.
and we thought, let's do science. Let's do a STEM-a-thon where the kids can just have a whole day of touching things, building things, just interactive thinking. And let's do it. And
I
so
love
we
that.
all of the prizes we incorporated were something that were sciencey, that were learning. And
Yes.
it was great. The kids loved it, the teachers loved it, and that's something that we want to continue.
That's
It was
awesome.
really
That's
cool.
really, really unique. I've worked for Get Moving for about 5 years, and I don't think I have heard of that. So that is really, really cool. And I think it's important too that especially when you're dealing with kids, you have to put like a little bit of your marketing hat on and associating a theme with the fundraiser like really, really gets them going. They're like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, I have to go home and tell my mom and dad about this STEM-a-thon that we're having. It's so cool. So
Yes.
I think that's awesome. And even like, I like that that's working for you guys, but I like too that you've changed it up. So then, the kindergartners that are now in first grade are like, oh, like dance-a-thon, STEM-a-thon, it's cool that you guys can kind of have that flexibility and you get feedback too from your parents in your
Mhm.
community, which is really, really awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your donation goal.
Okay.
What you guys set for last year, what you're going to set for this year, and what you actually ended up raising last year. I'm sorry, do you guys have spring events with us then?
They've fallen into spring because our principal kind of takes over fall. So
Okay,
we
so
typically
I'm
fall
sorry.
there.
Then I guess it's this coming school year. You're
Mhm.
gonna be in the spring again, but this calendar year, you guys already had an event with us.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So we try to set the fundraising goal to, oh God, $30 per child,
Okay.
and multiply that times how many kids
Yep.
you have. But then we reduce it down because of the Title I stigma,
Right.
as
Not
I like to
everybody may
call it.
participate.
Exactly. And we'll have maybe, I want to say, 100 out of 400 kids actually register online.
Hmm.
And then of that, we probably throw in a number around, I would say around 60, 30 to 60 kids actually get donations.
Okay.
And that's the number we focus on. But we really want kids to register. So we give that free gift for registration, and then your
Yep.
first tier prize, at $30 that you've raised. Um, and I forgot where we were going with that.
Nope, no problem. I just wanted to know
Bring me
how much
back.
you got. Do you remember how much you guys
Yes,
actually
the
ended up
goals.
raising? Or I think
Yes.
you said so your goal I think ended up being somewhere around 6,000.
So our goal was 6,000, and
Okay, yep.
another reason why we reduced it to 6,000. This is where I was trying to go. Originally, we wanted to do 7,000 because we had
Okay.
raised so much the previous year.
Yep.
But with the economy, with prices and things going
Yep.
up, we thought it's going to be easier on our families if we put less pressure on the kids. Let's just go
Yep.
down a little bit to 6,000.
Okay.
And we ended up raising a little over 9,000. We hit almost $10,000,
That
which
is
was awesome.
awesome. And
Hmm.
it's interesting too how you do that sort of math like per student. And I think something that is really contributed to, even if only a small number of your students are participating, it's about having that online component because maybe that one student will get donations from 10 family members because mom put it on
Yes,
Facebook or dad send out a text or something like that. So I
exactly.
think that it's crazy how, you think, oh, if everybody brings in $30, but then it's like, they can really exceed that by using those web pages.
They can. And we found motivation, incentives are
Yep, that's where I'm
huge
going
with our
next.
kids.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
huge.
So did you have anything that you really found worked in terms of incentives? So when our viewers and listeners are hearing this, maybe they're looking for a creative idea or something that you might have done that worked for you. What were some of those?
We attacked it from every angle we possibly could. We
I
wanted
love it.
to award individual work, we wanted to award group work by class, and
Yep.
then we wanted to award another individual by top of the grade. And so we would give the top student from each grade level got to do something to a teacher.
I love it.
And
Those are
one
some of
year,
the best.
yeah, they are. One year we did pies in the face,
Oh, I
and
love
we
it.
we learned as PTA, don't do the whipped cream and let it sit there for a minute. You got to do that right away. Some of the
Yeah.
teachers had to go change clothes. It was so bad.
Oh no.
It was awesome. And last year, I was thinking at the meeting, can we just throw paint at teachers? Can we do that? Just asking around the table. And yeah, we can. We just have to get a special squirter. It can't be a gun shaped. It's the
Right.
squirt type. And
Yep.
they squirt paint all over these teachers. And
I
it was the
love it.
funniest thing. We had shields on them, the painter's outfit, and they were dancing around. And the kids just had such a blast that we have to do that again next year because they'll remember, hey, if you do that, you get to spray Miss Babka with purple paint.
Yes.
It's just awesome.
I think those experience-based fun or experience-based incentives are some of the best because it's like you're gonna forget about that little like keychain that you won at a fundraiser, but you're never gonna forget, even when you're 30 years old, that you got to pie your third grade teacher in the face or whatever it was. You know what I mean? So those are things that stick with you. I mean, that's awesome. I love
And
that.
we definitely find rewards that are experience based.
Yeah.
That's what we focus on. We try to give them passes to museums. We reach out to different communities and say, hey, we're doing this. Can we have a family pass, a package? So the jump park will donate a family package. The local bowling alley will donate a package. And that's what we try to give. And then the teachers, we encourage the teachers as well to give incentives inside the classroom on top of our incentives. So sit in the teacher's chair for a day, grade papers for a day, just whatever it is that they want to do, we encourage. And believe it or not, I think we only had one teacher actually set those things up. And her class raised almost $2,200.
Wow.
Just her classroom alone.
Awesome. Yeah, that's like almost a quarter of what you raised. That's
It
awesome.
And
it's really crazy to see.
So we're like, no, we have to find someone to do what she did.
Dang it. That's so funny though. Another really cool thing just to mention about those experience-based incentives too is that no overhead, especially if you get that stuff donated, you know. I mean, you spend a little bit of money on the paint and the whipped cream, but you know, other than that, you're not having to buy, you know, the $15.99 100 pack of whatever that's going to get lost under the dresser, you know, 5 days later. So I think it's really,
I want to say we spent $863 on our fundraiser. That was it.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be. I know that sometimes to some schools, especially in the Title I communities, these event-based fundraisers can seem overwhelming, especially if they don't have a solid parent group or something like that. So hearing you come from, you know, a similar school to that and being able to overcome those things is super, super awesome. So that's awesome. And I applaud you for that. So, what do you guys, I don't think we touched on this, but when you do hit that goal or you exceed that goal, the $9,000, over $9,000, what do you guys use your money towards?
So that's what we're currently trying to do with our budget is, okay, now we've had a couple of years of good fundraisers. We wanted to see some consistency because originally, you know, 1,300 was all you get. You know, just work with it. And now that we're seeing, okay, we're consistently raising over $5,000 now. So let's expand our budget. Let's see what we can do. And so this year we're going to have the first ever South Kearns play.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be so fun. I mean, still it's a small little budget for it because we're getting items and props donated or borrowed rather. And we have last year we're able to get a better maturation clinic for the kids because that was the ones we had before were just uninteresting. The kids were embarrassed. They didn't want to be involved. And this beautiful lady is now, she comes in and she does everything. And so expanding that budget to bring her in with the kids, just loving it, the learning of it. They're not so embarrassed or ashamed, and better little goodie packs for the kids. That was a huge bonus to increase the budget for that.
Awesome.
And something we do every single year is a Halloween dance because Utah, if no one knows, Utah is obsessed with Halloween. I don't know what it is.
I did not know that.
I'm from Illinois, so when I moved here and saw how many haunted houses they have year round, wow.
Year round? I love it.
Year round. And so we do a Halloween dance every year. Well, we're increasing that budget because we want to bring in a photo booth. We want something for families to remember that moment. Hey, did you get a picture of the whole family together in your costumes? No, it was just the kids. It was me taking photos. Well, here is a photo booth for $500, unlimited photos. Just have at it.
That is
and
so
it comes with someone who mans it, which is what we need, right? We don't have to worry about, you know, oh, you already came, Jane, go back.
Right. Exactly. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I love to hear that you guys were consistent with it. And then now that you guys have that, you know, you can count on, you know, that annual, you know, hopefully $9,000 every year. That'd be awesome. To use it towards those things. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what you really like about Fund Hub and Get Moving. Like, what keeps you guys coming back other than the $9,000? What is it that you find easy to use, or anything you really like about Fun Tub?
So what I find really easy is now our parents and our students are used to it.
Okay.
They understand it, and it's just second nature now. Oh, we just share the link. Okay, everybody donate $5, $10, or just
Yep.
bring in the cash, right? Another thing I like is that we have Maria. She's on speed dial, our representative, and she's amazing with all the help and advice and guidance. And I'll say, hey, have you ever seen this happen? And she'll say, no, but let's do it.
I
Let's
love it.
pave the way. And when we need to find fundraisers or ideas, she just has a plethora of things to just bring out and try this or do that. This school did this, which I
Yeah.
think is really helpful. The
Yeah.
website, the platform is easy to use, easy to understand. And it just, I love how everything is in there. It helps me know which kids have reached what incentive. I just print out the sheet, go in when it's time to divide everything up, and we do a little factory with all the volunteers to get the prizes in their bags and check it off. And it's just, everything's provided. There's email templates, there's flyer templates. We go in and change a few things and just print it off, and you're good. The marketplace, we have videos, custom videos made within our budget, or actually because we keep doing referrals for other schools, we're earning money. So we're using that earned money to pay for our video. We're
Yes.
all about how do we get something for free?
Yes,
We're
exactly.
Title One, remember. We have to
Right.
figure
No,
this out.
exactly. And I think even in school fundraising in general, like it's especially to those Title I schools, but just everybody. I mean, the main goal here, and I was just telling a gal that we podcasted with the other day that, you know, every single dollar counts. And
Mhm.
even if you're in the most affluent area with, every single dollar in a school matters. And, it's just, we come from a parent group, like Get Moving Fundraising started off of a mom that had a successful fun run at her elementary school. And she was like, this is an idea. More schools need to do this. So we recognize that we want to give you guys as much as you can while still being able to run our business, so that is
Exactly.
just so important to us. So, I totally resonate with that and hear that. So shifting a little bit back towards, we just have a couple more questions here, but shifting a little back more towards the STEM-a-thon, because while I have you here, I want to, be able to promote this. So because it's unique to a thon style fundraising, when you hear of a thon style fundraising, you think of, fun runs, dance-a-thons, jog-a-thons, even
Mhm.
jump-a-thons, like you said. Could you share with our audience on what a STEM is and what kind of activities are related to that kind of event?
So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And when we went to the STEM Expo, we were able to see, okay, Clark Planetarium's here, there's scientists here. There's so many things that the kids can get their hands on and be involved with. We wanted to pull that in. And I reached out to STEM Action Utah, who coordinates the expo, and they are full of science volunteers that want to come to your school to run things for you and help you and do assemblies, which is absolutely amazing. So
Yeah.
they gave us that option, and they said, we have these STEM kits that you can actually check out for a few days, for a week. And in those kits are everything STEM. So there's building blocks. There's those marbles that you can build and have them go down in certain directions. Yeah. There are actually Hot Wheel cars and tracks in there. So you could try to design it to make it go the furthest. How do you elevate it? What do you need to do? Little blocks and shapes. So you have to make things match what's on the paper. Engineering wise, there's electronic games that they have to build to make a little frisbee fly off. So there's a lot of
awesome
little things. There's mice that you have to program to make it through a maze to get to the cheese at the very end, or a dog and a bone at the end. So just such a variety. So we checked out 2 kits is what we did. We took the 2 kits, and the kits are designed where the older grades, 5th, maybe 4th grade, could then teach and run it for the kindergarten and first grade and second grade, which we thought
Yeah.
that's a really cool idea, but let
Yeah.
us do it first,
Yeah.
just to make sure everything's going okay.
Right.
And we time blocked it, so it's kind of a rotation. So the kids could go to different rooms where there are 4 or 5 different items in the room, and they just go from thing to thing to thing, rotate around it. And they just absolutely loved it. And we kept those volunteers in our back pocket. So
Yeah.
now we know how it runs. Okay, so now after we do the big assembly where we color the teachers, before we break into groups, should we bring in that science assembly where he, does the elephant toothpaste, the explosions on stage, and just
Yeah.
really get them involved and just celebrate what they've done. I mean, we
Right.
blow confetti blasters even during the assembly, because why not? They deserve
Yeah.
it, and they just get a kick out of being loud, because you're not allowed to be loud in school.
Right.
And
Right.
so this is a whole lot of fun for them to be able to go from unit to unit to just hands-on, and parents like it because they're still learning, they're still engaged and being active,
Yes.
rather than just listening to music and jumping up and down or running in laps. It's not your normal fundraiser. And at first some people were confused. Science-a-thon, STEM-a-thon,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to learn, we're going to build, we're going to engineer things, and it's going to be fun.
I absolutely love that you literally went from $1,300 from chocolate bars to dance-a-thon, which was still cool, raising money, to literally your own idea. Like that that is just, I applaud you. That is so cool. And just to anybody out there listening or watching, anytime you are getting pushback from people, think about Danielle and think about how she said, listen, I don't care about your pushback. I'll take what you have to say. I'll put it in my back pocket, but let's just try it. Okay. Because
Yes,
that is awesome. Okay,
exactly.
cool. Well, we're kind of getting to the end here. So I just want to ask one more question before we wrap
Okay.
up. And that is just, given all your success going from those chocolate bars to now, what is some advice that you would share with PTA members or PTO parent group members that are looking to maybe start a Nathan style fundraiser of any kind? And what kind of advice would you give them, or just kind of what would you say to them?
I would say go for it. I'm one of those people who love change, because when you do something over and over and over, what is it? You're going to get the same result.
Yeah.
And to get something different going, keep the kids involved. We give daily reminders to the kids. We send out a flyer near the end to let them know, hey, this is where we are. This is the last day where you can do things. And it's been a huge reward. It's been a learning curve. We've had to learn quite a bit, but now that we know the system and our parents know what it is, they're getting more and more involved, because a parent can only buy so many boxes of chocolates.
Yes.
That's $60 a box, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And here, I mean, for instance, we learned one of the first years or second year to have the big assembly and awards the day after the fundraiser closes, because we did it the last day of. And a grandparent called their kid, hey, how much are you short? And she told him exactly how much she was short of being on top. And I'm talking several $100 short. And he made that donation. And I got because that knocked my son out of the top.
Dang it.
So we learned, okay, let's do the cutoff date and then do the assembly, because you have some competitive family members that hear, what are your prizes? This is what I really want. This is the experience I get to get. I get to have lunch with the principal. I really want this.
Yeah.
And so that's what we try to do is we learn every year what to do better for the next year. We listen to the parents. We listen to the teachers of what's working, what's not working. Please don't get my kid this prize again. We cannot have it. And so we take those things in and we just grow. We try to grow as a school, as a PTA, and with the students to just do something better every year.
That's so awesome. And I think everybody out there that's looking for, listening to this and wanting to maybe get some advice, I think that's the perfect advice. And I could not thank you more for being here today. This was such a unique interview, barely an interview. We just kind of chatted, but it was so unique to learn about how each one of these I learn a little bit something different about how a school does something different. This was just a totally different, unique experience. So I really, really appreciate you coming on today. I think a lot of people are going to love to hear this one and learn about it. So thank you so, so much. And not only can I thank you for coming on today, but I also want to thank you for the volunteer work that you put into your school, because your school would not be the same without you. And I just know that everybody at South Kearns is super lucky to have you. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you. Thank
Of
you.
course. So we're going to wrap it up here, and stay tuned for our next episode. And we'll see you guys later.